Ladies and gentlemen, now a massive thank you to the hard work of Omni Alliance member Work in Progress. Because of this man, today we have so much amazing Colossus beta buff gameplay. So today we're going to be seeing the new version of Colossus versus Winter Soldier, Captain Marvel. We also have the Act 6 Crossbones boss as well. We've got an Act 6 Havok. We have Variant Mephisto because Colossus is now Incinerate immune as well. So I would say out of the two buffs, I think Colossus has slightly more utility, although I still kind of do think Old Man Logan has a little bit more damage comparatively speaking, especially with those crit bleeds. However, there is a certain way to play Colossus. It is a little bit slower as you can see here, but parrying and heavy attacks, there is so much value to this strategy because it allows Colossus on every single parry to generate an armor up. With these armor ups, for every one you have, you get a little bit more attack and a little bit more power gain via the Emma Frost and also Omega Red synergies. And also, whenever an armor expires, there is a chance, depending on the awakened ability level, to make that armor a passive one. Also, whenever you use your special 2, it gives you a 50% chance to duplicate each stack of armor you have. And when these expire again, they have a chance to go passive as well. So just this strategy allows you to ramp up Colossus a lot quicker in comparison to spamming the special ones, so it definitely seems like the way to go. As you can see here, just after using the special 2, he's got 19 stacks of armor, and a lot of the ones from the special 2 are then going to be converted into passive stacks via the awakened ability as well. The maximum amount of stacks of armor you can have as a passive is 20, however using the special 2 you can go beyond this limit, and if you're very lucky you can get between anywhere 60-80 if you're playing very aggressively, if you've got the synergies as well, so maybe there's even more ramp up potential for Colossus in the future. If you've been paying close attention, you'll notice every time Colossus uses a heavy attack while the opponent is stunned, he gains a very short fury, and if you're playing very smartly, you can chain this on with a special 2, so heavy attack, special 2 for some major damage. But you can see, man, these heavy attacks, they're certainly not playing around, so this is maybe a little bit of a slower way to play Colossus, but it really does bring in that damage output. So unfortunately, he didn't get any crits there with the special 2, man. Absolutely denied an assassin's range there. Managed to get a 31k crit on the second part of that heavy with 31 stacks of armor, and then a final heavy attack to finish off with a 32k crit there. So overall, that was 60 hits on Realm of Legends Winter Soldier, which is a really great level of damage output. Granted, that is relying on the opponent being able to be stunned, parried, and heavy attacked. And also, just comparatively speaking, you know, between him and Old Man Logan time-wise was a little bit quicker on Winter Soldier. However, Colossus was less hits on Winter Soldier overall. So in scenarios where there are like very punishing mechanics like thorns, whenever you attack into the opponent you take damage, so having a lot of damage off the heavy attack might be quite useful. Maybe like Thing matchups as well, because you know you're not really going to give him like that many stacks of rock stack, so you know there might be some uses for the heavy spam in the right scenario. But I think it's a really good rotation if you can get it down on Colossus. It kind of seems like the best way to go so far, just because there is so much damage, there's so much armor generation as well, so it just seems like overall a very solid tactic. Also, like thinking about this playstyle of just using heavy attacks and special attacks, this could actually be really good for the second iteration of Variant, because Colossus being a large champion, you can't use your mediums, you can't use your lights, but you can spam heavy and special attacks with no repercussion in terms of the damage output, and also you're not going to take any of the damage back from glancing as well. So yeah, I think it might make Colossus maybe a little bit of an interesting option for Variant 2, especially considering there are some like really annoying fights like Big Mephistos, and now Colossus has that Incinerate immunity. Hey, maybe that's going to be a really good time, but I'm sure we're going to have to see when he goes live. Now, in the second matchup in Realm of Legends, Colossus does not have the class advantage here, but you can still see, man, those heavies are dealing some really sick damage. That was like a 20k slam down, a 24k one before that. So yeah, the damage is just really there when it comes to the heavy attacks. So I'm absolutely loving seeing some of this gameplay today. Nice little special too with a 40k crit on the end. And as you see, you know, the longer a match goes on with Colossus, the more armor ups he has access to, thus the more damage he can deal. So yeah, he's quite a good ramp up champion. I really wish there was a way with Colossus to store your armor ups from fight to fight. It would be really, really nice if he had like a persistent charge mechanic that allowed him to keep his stacks of armor and trigger them immediately on the next fight. I think that could take Colossus to a whole new like god tier level. However, you know, it'd be nice to at least see some sort of mechanic whenever like you win a fight, you start the next fight with like 2 more stacks of armor. So there is a way to kind of ramp up this champion a little bit quicker and get into the damage a bit faster. Overall, he's at 60 hits against Realm of Legends Captain Marvel, so even without the class advantage, he's still doing really, really well. Nice little special too to finish this one off. And there we go, 67 hits overall, so very low hit count wise, but again, a little bit longer when it comes to the overall fight duration. Now, work in progress also sent me this Biohazard fight, and Colossus is amazing for Biohazard nodes. This is also including the Warlock synergy, which gives him additional fury as well whenever a bleed would trigger, but those heavy attacks are just absolutely decimating Gwenpool at the moment, man. They're doing so good, and I believe this is a Gwenpool in Act 6, so just a very easy rotation of, again, parry heavy, but look at that, a 22k heavy attack, and it's certainly nothing to shake a stick at, man. That is a lot of damage output there with a 42k final finish on the special too. So yeah, Act 6 Gwenpool absolutely decimated there. However, next up we do have the Act 6 Biohazard Crossbones boss. Now this was kind of a big question, and one of the reasons that I wanted Colossus to be buffed over a lot of the other champions is just because a lot of people are stuck trying to get Cavalier just because they haven't been lucky enough to pull a decent 5-star bleed immune champion to deal with this Biohazard Crossbones. But very luckily, man, after the buff, both Colossus and also Old Man Logan, I think even at rank 4, should both have the potential to get this Crossbones down. And again, today's gameplay is without the use of Suicide Masteries, and also work in progress is not using Boost either. So there is a much higher level of Colossus output and performance that you could potentially get if you wanted to, you know, ramp this dude up even more. And I imagine because a lot of that damage is coming from the heavy attack, that he's going to work quite well with the Suicide Masteries, but you are going to take a little bit of recoil damage on the special too. So maybe not the perfect Suicide Masteries option, but I can see him working if you do enjoy using Suicide Masteries, because you do get a lot of damage output, especially off that heavy attack there. But in this Crossbones fight, you have this super fun like power node, so you got to spam the special 1. He's then using the special 1 to ramp up the armor stacks continuously, so he can get to 20 stacks of armor up here. And also here, and all of the fights that you're going to see today, he does have the bonus of the Emma Frost and also Omega Red synergies. So the Emma Frost synergy gives Colossus 2% power gain per stack of armor, and the Omega Red one gives him 2% attack per stack of armor. So, you know, once you got the special 2 going, and maybe you've got like 30 stacks of armor, you can see a lot of benefit from the power gain and also the additional attack. But against this specific Crossbones, the power gain, you know, it really isn't doing anything, just because you have the node where you only gain power if Crossbones gains a node of power. But I imagine for this fight, the Omega Red synergy is a really, really nice one to have, because it's giving you that 2% attack per stack of armor, and if it's a longer fight, you know, you have plenty of time to ramp up here. So just skipping to the end of this fight, for a rank 5 Colossus, it takes him about 150, 160 hits to get this man down overall. So yeah, not bad considering there is an Arc Overload node, and also you can't really play Colossus in the optimal way in the Crossbones matchup just because he's constantly shrugging off debuffs and all that fun stuff. But hey, you know, viable option, boys. Another option to potentially get Cavalier there, so certainly not a bad time at all. Next up, we got one of the Variant Mephistos from Variant 1. Now, this Mephisto is a little bit annoying. He does have the Buffet node active and also Soul Imprisonment at the start, so Colossus starts off a little bit on the back foot against Mephisto just because you don't start with the immediate stacks of armor that you usually gain in a lot of different matchups. So one of the big perks of the Colossus buff is the immunity to Incinerate, which, while it doesn't make him the best counter to Mephisto, just because it's really hard to rival a champion like Void or Namor in this matchup, it does make him a viable counter, and there are so many annoying Mephistos kind of scattered throughout the endgame content, so just a bit of a showcase to show that he is a viable option for Mephisto, and you don't need to worry about any of the Incinerate damage. Also, because you're dealing so much damage in a couple of attacks, you're also getting less less Aura of Incineration procs overall. So yeah, it's a little bit of a better time when it comes to that, but also with this Mephisto, he is like slightly more annoying, as you can see, just because of the buffet node, but once he gets a special 2 going, that has a really solid chunk of damage output there, and has gotten down now to 34%. So just another heavy attack brings him below kind of that cheat death region, just dodging a cheeky little special 1 there. Colossus lands for a parry, goes for another heavy attack, that's a 16k crit there, which is a great time, goes for another heavy again. So, you know, you're just slamming down those heavies really all day if you want to see some of the really good damage output of Colossus. But this video wouldn't be complete without highlighting one of the most insanely valuable uses for Colossus after the buff, which is the Havok matchup. So Colossus is always going to start with at least 1 stack of armor up, and again on every parry you can generate a stack of armor, and when those armor expire they have a chance to become a permanent passive armor, but also using a special 1 can give you one of the passive armors as well. So as long as you have one of those up, mate, you're not taking any plasma damage, which is a really good time in the Havok matchup. Here, he very cleverly uses Colossus's special 1 to stun the opponent and then get heavy attack, thus pushing Havok to his special 2. And if you know Havok fighting, you know special 2 is just much easier to deal with in comparison to 2 special 1s there. So a really good little tactic and tip for fighting Havok. I think if you're really quick on the stun as well, you can go for like double medium 5 combo. So maybe in that scenario, it would have been better for him to go double medium 5 combo to push to the special 2, but I see why he went for the heavy attack, just for a little bit of damage output there. So certainly can't blame him for that one, but here he goes for a 5 combo straight into a special 1 in order to try and push Havok to his special 2. Unfortunately, he didn't get the stun, but he goes straight into baiting out a special 2 there, which overall, man, is a pretty good time. And then another special 1, unfortunately does not get the stun that time, so that is a little bit annoying, but then goes in for a 5 combo, dash back, tries to go for another special 1 evade, but unfortunately fails. However, a great interaction here is that because Havok's plasma charges are a debuff and Colossus has willpower, it's actually just giving him free healing in this matchup, so it just kind of heals him back up to full. So yeah, really good time, nice little 24k finish there. Overall, he's just a really solid counter to Havok after his buff. Now, to quickly cover his abilities, his brand new Awakened ability, whenever one of Colossus's immunities protects him from an effect, he has a 50% chance to gain an armor up buff lasting for 15 seconds. So this is when in the Mephisto matchup, he suddenly gained like loads of armor from the Aura of Incineration. That was it, but this has so many uses, especially on like Biohazard nodes. It's a really good Awakened ability to have. Also, Colossus has a 37% chance to convert an expiring armor up buff into a permanent one. So this is what we were talking about earlier. When your armor expires, there is a chance, depending on your Awakened ability sig level, to make it a permanent armor up buff for the rest of the fight. Also, he is now a triple immunities champion with immunity to bleed, incinerate, cold snap, and frostbite. So this is really good for like Iceman, and also the new vision coming out next month seems to have some sort of like Iceman aura. It seems, you know, maybe a little bit questionable, but hey, Colossus might be a really good counter there. And also, if he's not fighting a tech champion, he will be immune to armor break debuffs. So only tech champions can armor break Colossus. Also, at the start of every fight, Colossus gains an indefinite armor up buff for each X-Men champion on his team, so you know this synergizes even further with a lot of the X-Men characters, and it's just a really nice passive to have. Colossus can have a maximum of 20 armor up buffs at any time, however the special 2 does allow him to get more, and for every armor up buff it gives you additional armor rating and also additional critical damage rating as well. So the more armor you have, the harder your crits are going to hit, so that's a pretty good time. Also, when attacking or when being attacked, if Colossus's ability accuracy is below 100%, he gains 100% power rate for the duration of the attack, so this is really good, I assume, for the Black Widow matchup, the Domino matchup, maybe the Crossbones matchup as well. We didn't really get to see the use of it just because there was that weird like power node when it came to the Act 6 Crossbones fight, but I think that's got a few interesting uses across the game. Also, with enemy critical hits, the damage is capped at 150% of the opponent's attack rating, and each time this damage cap is hit, the duration of Colossus's armor up buffs are refreshed. Additionally, he also has a 50% chance to gain an additional armor armor up buff lasting 15 seconds. So yeah, I imagine this isn't going to be super fun with champions like Ghost and Corvus Glaive, but you know, who knows? When it comes to the well-timed blocks, aka the parries, you've got a 100% chance to gain an armor up buff lasting for 15 seconds, and again, with the Awakened ability, when these expire, they can be converted into permanent ones, and also if contact is made by a basic attack, I think he essentially like has parry without the parry mastery as well, but also if he has the parry mastery, you deal additional direct damage, so you might have noticed that in some of the gameplay, and this on a fully maxed out Colossus is just over 1000 per parry, so it's certainly, you know, not a bad additional bit of damage to have, but it's nothing like super crazy either. Colossus's new special one gives him an indefinite armor up buff, and also for each armor up buff you have a 5% chance to inflict a stun for 2 seconds, so once you got 20, this is guaranteed. Finally, we got the special 2 and special 3, so the special 2 is always going to be unblockable, and when activated, and for each armor up buff Colossus has, a 50% chance to gain another lasting for 15 seconds, and these buffs do not count towards the max stack limit of 20, allowing Colossus to temporarily go above his armor buff limit. So if you get very close to the special 3, fire off the special 2, you could potentially go up to 40 buffs, and then potentially, like, if you're really lucky, build up again to another special 2, and maybe go in the 60 to 80 region there. So yeah, there's some very interesting potential with the special 2, especially for a little bit of burst damage. Finally, the Special Attack 3 has a 100% chance to inflict an indefinite passive fatigue on the opponent, reducing their crit rating by 2100. And this is huge, man. This essentially means unless your opponent has a crit node, they are not going to be able to land a critical hit. So it means Colossus is an absolute tank, and even if you do fail, you're not going to get crit, and you're going to mitigate a lot of damage with armor. So I think there's maybe some interesting uses in certain content with the Special 3, but we're going to have to see on that one. He also will activate Organic Steel, increasing the amount of damage reduced by armor and resistances by 2% per armor up buff. Additionally, while Organic Steel is active, Colossus is unstoppable while blocking, allowing him to shrug off attacks. So yeah, this might have some uses that I can't really think of right now for like the second line of text, but hey, just Special 3 makes him a super tank if you are going to get hit and take a lot of damage. So that brings us to the end of today's gameplay video. Absolute mad love to Work in Progress for sending over all this amazing gameplay today, man. It's been really good to kind of break down and talk about the Colossus buff. But overall, which one are you most excited for? And which champion do you believe looks a little bit better than the other one? Team Colossus or Team Old Man Logan? Let me know in the comments section below. Aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.